everybody. I just wanted to take a little time and talk to people about major depressive disorder, um, particularly in someone 50 and over, which I am. I'm 52. I have suffered with depression since I was 18. Even before that, I had issues, panic disorder. My mom had to take me to the hospital several times. I remember when I was really young, like 8, 9, because I kept telling her I was having a heart attack, couldn't breathe. Come to find out it was just anxiety, really bad anxiety, panic disorder, which I was also diagnosed with when I was 18. And I was put on medication for that by a really good psychiatrist that I went to see. At that time, I've been to several psychiatrists. I've been in and out of I don't want to say mental institutions, but like the psych wards of the hospitals here in my town. Half-hearted suicide attempts, a lot of cutting. I started cutting when I was, probably in my late teens, and that was, I think, before cutting was like a thing. I'm sure people were doing it because I was, but it wasn't talked about. Then obviously we didn't have social media and all the stuff we have now to get all the information out there. But yeah, did a lot of cutting. My arms I have lots of scars on my arms, and the only thing I can say about that is it felt like a release at the time. And I haven't cut in years. It's probably been since my children have been born. But at the time, I wanted to feel anything but what I was feeling, which was just hopelessness, despair. I wanted to feel something different, intense and different, and not just that dead, numb despair. I've had thoughts of doing it since when I get to that point, because, it's like an ebb and flow with depression. I go through periods where I can function and everything's cool. I never feel 100%. I always feel like I'm not enjoying my life. Like, I cannot remember when I enjoyed my life last, if I ever really have, which is very sad. It's a struggle day to day. Like today, let's see, I've been in this bed for 2 days now. I've not went anywhere. I've not gotten out of bed. I did shower today. I did not yesterday. My house is a mess. And there's so much that needs to be done in here. It's so overwhelming. I mean, it just overwhelms me. My son lives with me. oldest son lives with me. He works full time, and he's got a son, my grandson, and who, by the way, is the joy of my life. Probably what has kept me hanging on in the past 5 years, 6 years. Because I have had a suicide plan down for a lot of years. And I don't always feel suicidal. Sometimes I just feel like I just want this pain to end. But I'd like to be here to enjoy it when it does end. I don't want me to end. And that's a hard one. And I've been to so many doctors, so many psychiatrists. My family doctor retired, probably about, 9 years ago, 8 years ago. He's a wonderful man. Helped me a lot. So I had to find a new doctor when he retired. And I don't talk to a lot of people about my depression. My family doctor knew. He had put me on a lot of other medications. I've been on just about every antidepressant that's out there. The serotonin uptake inhibitors or whatever, SRIs or whatever they are. I can't remember right now. They don't work. They do not work for me. Never have. Zoloft, Prozac, Wellbutrin, Lexapro, Paxil, the new ones that I tried the last couple years. I tried 2 of the brand newer ones. Nothing. I might as well be taking sugar pills. And I'm not saying they don't work for some people, and I really hope they do. I'm glad that they do. I actually have a girlfriend. They've worked wonders for her. They do nothing for me. When I was younger, 24, 23, it was before I got pregnant with my first child. I was married. My psychiatrist at the time put me on an MAOI inhibitor. Anyway, Nardil. That did work. It worked wonders. I totally became Susie Homemaker. It was weird how normal I became. Just everything was cool. But I'm a smoker. Drink a lot of coffee. Lots. And when you take Nardil, you have to watch your diet. You cannot have monosodium glutamate. You can't have aged cheeses, aged meat, caffeine. You're not supposed to smoke. Obviously, you're not supposed to smoke anyway. It's horrible for you. And it was hard. I did it. I followed the diet. I guess it can cause a stroke. If you couple it with all those foods and chemicals and stuff. But it actually worked until I woke up one morning and felt like something wasn't right. And my husband was leaving for work, and I told him I wasn't feeling right. Something was off. And he's like, well, do you want me to stay home or go? And I was like, no, go ahead and go. If anything happens, I'll call my mother. And so he left, and I felt suddenly like I was floating above my body and could see myself laying there. It was the scariest thing I've ever felt. I just complete sheer terror. I called my mom. She said she'd be right over. I was panicked. By the time she got there, I was running down the street in my nightgown, freaking out. She got me in the car and took me to the emergency room, and the doctor was so nonchalantly just said, "Oh, yeah, that was a dissociation. It'll pass. It's not going to hurt her." And, no, sir, no. Not on board with that feeling. Not here, not ever again. That was scary. So I quit taking it. I weaned myself down off of it. But that's the only thing that ever worked for me. Panic disorder, I took Xanax for years, 10 years. And it worked, but the side effects, I had a lot of anger. Like, it caused me to be an angry person. So I finally told my family doctor, I just can't take this anymore. I just can't do it. But I've never had a panic attack since. I've been off of it now for years, and I have not had a panic attack. I have some anxieties, but not like full-blown panic attack. So now it's just the depression. So when I felt it coming on bad again here a couple years ago, which it's never gone away, but I get so tired of rehashing it with people and getting nowhere. You're not getting any help. Nothing works. Therapist. I haven't really had much success. Haven't really found one that I fit with. I've had a couple of good psychiatrists, but they don't really spend that much time talking to you. It's more like, answer some questions, here's a prescription, off you go. So, and I think there's a shortage of psychiatrists here where I live in particular. I don't know about anywhere else, but here I know a lot of them moved away. So I went to my new family doctor, whom I'm not real crazy about. He kind of freaks me out a little bit, kind of creepy to me. I mean, he's good. Like, if you have a sinus infection or an earache or something, but in his defense, he will send you to a specialist if it's something he's not familiar with or can't figure out. So anyway, went to him a couple years ago, told him about my depression, told him I'd been struggling with it most of my life, made out a list of all the medication I had taken for it, where I'd been, who I'd seen. And his response was, I needed to exercise. In particular, I needed to do jumping jacks. And then proceeded to show me how to do a jumping jack. I was doing jumping jacks in the office and asked me if I knew how to do those. That was his answer. That's what he gave me to solve my depression. Jumping jacks. I mean, I was dumbfounded and probably just sat there staring at him with my mouth wide open. I'm like, dude, seriously? Okay. He sent me to a therapist that was there in his building. And I went probably for about a month, twice a week, I believe. This girl was young. She was like fresh out of school probably 25. So I'm telling her all these things that have happened in my life experience. And she didn't have a clue, people. She's young. She hasn't experienced life. I mean, she couldn't relate. She couldn't relate to finding her fiance dying on her bedroom floor in front of her. She couldn't relate to being married to a homosexual who was a drug addict, alcoholic. She couldn't relate to being abused, beaten in relationships. And all that is on me. Those are decisions I made in my life. Well, minus my fiance Michael's death. That was totally, he was the love of my life. And that happened, oh geez, '04? We're in 2019 now. I did not date or have sex. I did not do anything after he died for probably over 5 years. And it's been real tough. I've dated a couple of people, but something changed in me when that happened that I've never bounced back from. I had a lot of post-traumatic stress with that, and was on medication for that. I take nothing now. Nothing. I'm on no medication. Ibuprofen or whatever. I have fibromyalgia, so they say. I think it's all depression related, but so I was taking Lyrica, and I quit taking that. The side effects were horrendous. Was taking gabapentin, and that worked, but it made my impulse control bad. I became very impulsive taking that. I'm not real big on taking things. I just want somebody to help me with this depression. I want an answer. I've actually been thinking of electroshock therapy. I'm like, I'll try. I mean, I've read up on it. I've heard pros and cons. I think there's a new kind of therapy with ketamine. I'm like, hey, sign me up. I'm like at my wit's end. Anyway, it's also, the older you get, the harder it is to deal with, and the more complacent you get with dealing with it. Like, I don't talk to my family about it because people think you're weak. And it's, just get happy. Why can't you just be happy? Oh, okay. God, why didn't I think of that? You know? So I just keep it in. I try to go to work. I miss a lot of work. I have FMLA. And I'm not a lazy person. I'm a very hard worker. But I just can't function a lot of days. I literally cannot leave my bed or my bedroom. And then I don't care. I just don't care. Like, aren't you afraid you're gonna lose your job? I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't care to leave this bed. You know? That's the mindset you get in. Anyway, I thought maybe talking to you guys might help. I guess I'll try to go back to my family doctor again, Mr. Jumping Jacks, and see what happens. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to commit suicide. I couldn't do that to my two boys and my grandson. Not to mention my mother. I'm just tired of feeling this way. And if anybody out there can relate, I don't want you guys to give up on yourselves either. I'm not giving up. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. Life keeps going and it's getting shorter. I'm getting older. It's like, when am I going to enjoy being here? So I don't want you guys to give up either. I have days where I just muddle through just fine. And I always have hope that eventually something is going to happen. It's going to get better. So hopefully it gets better for any of you listening who is struggling with depression. And I thank you guys for listening to me ramble. And I wish you guys all love and peace. Thanks.